Okay, another episode of the hiring room. I'm super excited with I consider a new friend, Pooja Bhatt. Pooja and I met at an event here in Chicago, and she's such a treat because she's such a warm person. So, Pooja, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
I'm so excited, Renee, too, because I think it's been only maybe a month or so that ago that we met, and I feel like I know you. We've had a few connects. It's
It was
been great.
awesome. We met at the HRA Christmas party. We just kind of chit chatted away. So I wanted to find out, like, again, I want to talk about you a little bit here. And I know you're kind of doing a little bit of a transition in your career right now. I know that you were at IBM for a really long time and did so many great programs, initiatives there. And we're going to get into like some of the things in your philosophy and all that. But what's going on now? I think you were talking about some coaching and a little bit of wine thrown in there too. So
Yeah,
tell me
yeah.
what you're
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. In transition, had worked at IBM for 20 years,
it's
totally built
amazing.
my HR, career there. And the last decade was focused on talent strategy and talent management, some really cool things. But, y- 20 years was a long time and, good time for a change to kind of pause and reflect and see what I want to get into next. And that's sort of where this direction towards coaching came in. As being in a leadership role at IBM, I did a lot of frameworks and such around, leadership development and other manager capability types of frameworks. And in the middle of all of that, realized that I was informally doing a lot of coaching.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Yeah. I mean, with executives, with managers, but I was also doing a lot of career coaching for early career professionals,
Mm,
whether they were interns or just earlier in their career at IBM, leadership development program, just kind of coaching them through what might be the next role. And then there was people on my team that were new to the role. So just really being, not micromanaging, but more of coaching them through,
yeah.
you know, how to really kind of get them empowered and own their work, right? So I figured that I did this informally, so why not, formalize this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
IBM is like I mean, look, it's like an icon in America, right? Like it's like a premier company. I think what I've seen they've done really well, and this is probably because they had people like you there. I feel like they do retention well there. Don't do you
they
feel I
do,
mean,
and the thing is, you'll find I mean, it's a huge company, so you'll find people that have been there forever,
sure.
and then you'll find people kind of coming in and leaving and maybe coming back, but they do, and I think it's the culture, right?
Yeah.
When somebody gets attracted to the culture, and I feel leaders really create that culture. If someone gets attracted to that, it kind of keeps you, right?
Yeah.
Of course, career progression, and there's also different levels of change in, like, even lateral movements that you might have, or shift from business unit to business unit, so you feel like you're doing another job.
Yeah, you get a lot of internal opportunity. So let me ask you, so what like in the last couple years, what did you primarily work on? Was it because you said the leadership coaching and things was a little bit more informal. Did
Mhm.
they have a formal program for it? I mean, because the bigger companies have more resources to help people. So was the objective like for retention, or tell me a little bit about that?
So in terms of retention or in terms of the coaching?
In terms of like, was the coaching for retention? I guess that's what
Oh,
I'm
oh, oh,
asking.
oh, oh, I feel like that it just informally and naturally happens.
Okay. Yeah.
You always say that, you go work for a person or a manager or a leader versus the company.
For sure.
There were so many great leaders and great managers that, just naturally became coaches to employees. And I think that helped tremendously with, retention. There was other programs too, right? Where you could go and get your badge or certificate or whatever in coaching, and then hopefully you apply that, for people on your team. But I think there was just a natural way, because there's a lot of informal mentoring, a lot of mentoring programs. So I think you just pick up on these things and try to apply it when you have a team and you have, someone that you feel like you can coach, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The pro of these big companies, right, is the resources like that, you know? If you were going into, say, a mid-market company, say, like, where most companies are sitting at 500,000,000 or something like they're under
Mhm.
$1,000,000,000. Most of the time, you don't see that. But if you had a small budget, like, where would you like, how would you build a little bit of talent management or talent like, leadership coaching scenario? Just for, like, the masses out there because what I'm looking at our stats here. IBM, 18,000 plus employees, 170 countries. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I even realized they were that big. They're
Well,
huge.
so that was just a sales organization. IBM is, 350,000 employees.
God, that number's just
Yeah.
the sales organization?
Yeah, that's what I supported, in the last 3 years of my career there.
Holy
I was supporting
smokes.
IT sales. Yeah.
I mean, okay, wait a minute. Where are they ranked in the Fortune 100 then? Where are they?
Currently, I don't know. I haven't looked in the last year,
Gosh,
but
that is like, I mean, it's just like this, IBM, right? I mean, I had one of their typewriters.
yeah, I know, and they don't do that. They don't do
Right.
that,
Well, see,
right?
they're one of those companies that didn't get stuck in that, right? Like, they evolved, right? They
They
they kept
had to.
evolving.
They
And now
had
they're basically
to, and they're
basically a tech company, aren't they? Like, aren't they
yeah.
considered like a tech company, basically?
Technology, yep, technology, and services, and there's a lot of consulting, right? So, I mean, the consulting organization that I supported for almost 7 years was 120,000 employees, right?
Jeez.
So it's large scale,
Yeah,
which
so
is
how do you I don't know how you even manage that. It's just crazy. Before you left, how was AI? AI was impacting them, wasn't it? Because you were part of some initiatives, weren't you? If I don't know if you can talk about it or not, but
Mhm.
if you can talk about any of the AI initiatives, that would be amazing.
Yeah, very advanced, right? IBM is just extremely
Yeah.
advanced.
I mean, they're a tech company on
Technology,
top of it, so
exactly, for big
right.
tech, right? So they had their own AI platform, and I got
Okay.
to, so you're selling that, but you also can use that, for projects
So they had a
internally.
product. I mean, they're selling it, and what did their what is their
It's called Watson Orchestrate, and it's really an AI assistant for all kinds of
okay.
processes. And like from a business standpoint alone, there's a lot that happens there. But for me, I was able to use that in HR processes. I was able to just have AI enabled solutions for a couple of HR processes like performance management.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really at the end of the day, really, right? I- it's AI really is valuable in more like pattern recognition and consistency, right? So, uh,
Yeah.
in areas like performance, kind of signal you like things on like bias or maybe rating inflations or misalignment. But it's what you put in, right? Like the business rules that you are putting in,
Yeah.
to actually make this process work, right? So in like performance management, we had really trying to change the culture of leaders of not doing performance once a year, right? Because
Yeah,
because
how it's not helpful, right?
no, because it's like you're doing it at the end of the year, and have you talked to your employees
Yeah,
like throughout the year? Have you done
yeah,
goal setting? Have you done check-ins? Have you given
yeah,
them, feedback back loops, right? So what we really were trying to accomplish with AI is yes, have data that might suggest, where somebody might rank at or rate at, but it's really the decision is with the human being, right? It's with it. AI, was helping bring things front and center, right, to the
okay.
leaders and managers. So, here's your team, right? Here from a performance standpoint, this is what we're seeing, but you have to vet it as the human, right? You don't. AI will help you make an informed decision. It can assist you, but you as the human have to make the judgment call, right? So but by bringing this front and center to them and like embedding it in their workflows, right? Like into their whether it's their HR, portal or in sales in their sales portals that, brings up their employees and says that maybe this employee has like not done this, you have not given feedback, you have not, you know,
So
had a
did
check-in.
it kind of audit the communication process?
I think it helped with the communication process if there wasn't happening, if it was.
Okay. So it all right. So it was almost like it was it what did it I'm just trying to figure out how this would work. Did it directly prompt the manager like, "Hey," like a nudge, like, "Hey, you haven't talked to Joe.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
you should talk to
it could do
Joe."
that. It could do that if that's what you put in
I
your
think
business
that's
rules.
I
Yeah,
think that I think that's awesome, right? Like,
it is because I
I mean,
think
if
it
you're in a
starts to
sales
change.
organization and you're trying to keep especially in sales, right? Things are
Yeah,
all over. There's a lot of and I'm sure some of those sales directors had I couldn't imagine how many people in their organization. Probably hundreds, right?
yes, I mean, in some organs, some that it was even larger, right? So it's
Yeah.
how do you keep up with that? But also, how do you know what's going on in your organization, right? Not just the level that you're,
Yeah.
managing, but the whole organization, right? So it kind of gives you a holistic, consistent view of your team or your organization, and then what are some of the actions that are happening or not happening, right? So it helps you keep a
Wow.
pulse on it. um,
Okay.
you get involved in it, hopefully will start to change your mindset. It's not it's you have to see performance as a performance management system versus just here's your performance, this is how you did, and all I can remember is what you did the last 3 months, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah,
this
and
to
you
me
can't
helps change
it's
that
too late,
mindset.
right? It's
It's
too
too
the
late.
information's old, it's too late. So that's I now talking about it in that terms, and I haven't talked to anyone about it like this. That to me would be super valuable. But I think about when I was running a team of 25 people and staffing, which was sales and all the stuff and all that's happening and what's I mean, that would be that information would be invaluable to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I
I
mean,
could get a grip very quickly on what was falling through the cracks, right?
wow.
Without
Yeah,
using lists and tasks and calendar, pings or
exactly.
whatever, or reminders that used to have built in, big deal. That would be super valuable to me.
It is
Did
because I
it
mean, you're
have like a
thinking of it.
dashboard and did it have like
Yeah,
dashboards and
it's a combination of things, right? It works with different systems. It's more of like an advisor, an assistant prompting you,
so it'd
to
give
do
you
things.
ideas too, huh?
It could give you ideas too, right? So, I mean, like, and it depends, right? What the process is. Oh, I guess what problem are you trying to solve for, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of times now with AI, everybody's like, oh, we got to jump on this AI
Yeah.
again, right? But what are you trying to solve, right? And let's build it, towards solving that particular problem. So if it is performance management, are we thinking about performance management system holistically
Yeah.
versus just that, oh, remind managers to go in and do their performance reviews. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
How was it adapted? How was it taken? Like would people
really
adapt it
well. I
well?
think I think the important thing is getting the buy-in at the early stages, right?
Mm,
The
mm.
transparency and the, co-creating this. Like HR shouldn't be owning this and working in silos, right?
Right.
Co-creating this with the business leaders, right? So now the business leaders are in the know from the very beginning and there's
Yeah.
transparency and you're helping them solve a business problem or, a business need,
So
right?
that helps buy-in, right? That
Absolutely.
helps
Absolutely.
buy-in. Yeah.
And once, and then I was a big fan of pilots, right? Just taking, something, getting the buy-in from the very beginning, starting, working with the lead with the business and having little nuggets of it put in like maybe smaller like teams or whatever, right? So it's more like a pilot to see how are people reacting to this, right? And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
if it looks good, then now you scale it, right? So
Yeah.
we did that a ton.
Now were they using AI, in hiring at all?
So, honestly, I'm sure they are. It just wasn't
Yeah, you
I
weren't in that
wasn't really
area. You
yeah, I
were in
wasn't in
talent
that
management. You
space,
were in,
but
like, talent
I
acquisition, things like
I'm
that. That's right.
sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're progressive, right? They're gonna somehow, yeah, use it.
They are, and
That's
then
really interesting.
I was telling about Watson Orchestrate, right? That AI platform, and
Yeah.
through that, right? You had so many HR processes that were going, and using it as like HR first or project, or HR zero or
Yeah.
project zero, HR first, right? So using those tools, yeah, a lot of HR processes.
So you did a lot of like you worked with different workforces across business units and geographies, right? And then you did a lot of scorecard metrics. What are some of the metrics? I don't know. Probably depends on what unit you're working with as I thinking through this, but maybe it's too general of a question. But how did that help drive leadership change? Some of these metrics, or how did you communicate it? I'm just curious on, because that's part of the coaching, right?
Yeah. 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 Leaders often ask for dashboards and charts and KPIs and trending numbers and all of that, right? But that's what they think will drive better decisions. But what they really need are, yeah, I guess more of don't look at the lagging stuff, right? Look at stuff that's helping you, get the leading indicators, right? Or the decision triggers.
Okay.
Simple, actionable insights that would point to where attention is required, right? Sure, you can show it on a scorecard, but have the fewer metrics, that have the clear implications, right? So some examples, could be, I'll just think of like the last role that I was in supporting sales, but critical role coverage, right? Time to productivity. What's the hiring velocity? Is there regretted attrition? What's the promotion quality, right? So, and how does that tie into revenue metrics, right?
Mm,
So,
yeah.
showing that kind of data that's actually potentially solving for a business need is
Yeah.
really what you need to go and I feel that HR shies away from that because HR is often seen as a support function, but it isn't, right? you know
Yeah. Well, not at
but
IBM, it doesn't sound like it was.
no, no, and it shouldn't be anywhere, right? Because
No,
you
but,
have
often it isn't, though. I mean, I think what I really like, what I'm hearing with it is that, you had a seat at the table. HR sounded like they had a seat at the table.
absolutely,
And,
absolutely,
that was the big thing, back in the day. I don't know how GE does it nowadays, but, back in the day when Jack Welch was running it, HR
yeah,
had a seat at the table.
yeah, yeah,
It was one of
and
his philosophies.
it is because
I don't think people utilize that skill like they should.
no, because they are often seen as a support function.
Right.
Just understanding HR, understanding the business model and speaking in like language like trade offs. Leaders recognize that, right? The business recognizes that data is powerful.
Very
HR
powerful.
doesn't. Yeah, you have to use that, and I was surrounded by that like my entire career there, right? So
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
really unique. And my roots are a CPA. To me, data tells a story. I mean, so he does easily tells you a story on the financial fronts, right? But
yeah,
data just tells a story anyway. And the quicker you
yeah,
can get the data, the quicker you can adjust it for the future, to have
yeah.
different impact in the future. So, I mean, that's a really cool experience because, not many organizations have that at their fingertips. I'm just thinking, like, do they have a small business package that they sell for this kind of, AI leadership and management? I would, if I had a sales team, I'd want
Yeah.
that.
It's so funny. There's a solution or a package for everything at IBM, I
I
feel.
bet. I bet. So you're like, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, it's just that, of course, the clients and, such that they're going after are really the bigger organizations
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
you have to have the funding and the appetite for transformation
Oh, yeah,
and,
I could
all of that.
imagine what something like that would be to implement would be crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. What leadership behaviors do you think directly impact, retention directly? Like, what are some of the things that you saw? Were there any patterns with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, leaders, well, couple things. First of all, technology is not going to replace leadership, right? It's going to help leadership. But I think behaviors that leaders demonstrate and quickly show like I think a good workplace leader really combines integrity, empathy, strong communication, right? But
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
clear vision, there's got to be strategic thinking, decisiveness, right?
Mm.
All while leading, I guess, by example, but empowering their team, right? Empowering their team to grow, to adapt, to achieve goals, helping to develop people and foster that innovation, right? And that clarity, the fairness, the empathy. I feel are like such big traits for
Is
leaders
there
to
any,
have.
and you don't have to say their name, of course, was there any is there any leader at IBM that really stood out to you that this kinda, like, did they just hit the ball over the fence? And was there any soft skills or characteristics or anything you could pinpoint that were like, "Wow, this person's just they figured it out."
Yeah, I mean, in such a good way. Unfortunately, I had so many different. I had like 8 different roles in the last 20 years
That's
that I've been doing.
amazing. What a great
Yeah,
run. Yeah, that is
and
so amazing.
it was all HR too, right? People like, wait, like 8 roles in HR? Isn't HR just like one thing? No, it's not. And I just had some really, really good leaders and managers. But my last manager, leader, I feel she just had it all because she meant business, she was strategic thinker, she had clear vision, she did
Mhm.
a very good job of explaining the why
She
and,
yeah,
and still
Simon
showing
Sinek,
empathy.
The Why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it's so just probably a good communicator.
Excellent communicator, and I picked up so many things from her, and I would do the same thing with my team, right? And just, when especially when there's transformation and stuff, right? That there's so much change, people forget the biggest thing that people are afraid of is the emotion.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
going to be so much change, but like everyone's human at the end of it all, right? So you
Yeah.
be able to empathize with that and say
Yeah.
that, we're here still here to support you, but here's
Yeah.
what the business needs to do. I feel like that's key, right? Showing, just being
Yeah.
transparent about
Holding
it.
people accountable, but being empathetic at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a
Absolutely.
balancing
So
act. Yeah, and I think some people just I mean, what I see is companies tend to I'm not saying IBM, I'm just saying, like, I'm generalizing here, that companies tend to promote the best technical people,
yeah.
like, people that are good at what they do is at a staff level, they tend to promote them, so technically, they're good at whatever they do. Unlike IBM, 95% of the companies are small or to mid-sized companies, they don't have the infrastructure or the funds to teach people how to be leaders, and it's some people inherently kinda have it. They
Yeah.
intuitively know what to do, but I think
Yeah.
the majority don't. They
Yeah.
probably model after someone they thought was good at it, or
Yeah.
they model at someone who wasn't good at it, but
Right.
it's almost I was one time I was doing this building out this finance team, and the CFO is a publicly traded company. The CFO and I have been knowing each other forever, really close. And he had this new manager. I mean, the kid was like a senior accountant. He became like a first level accounting supervisor. And he had said to me, could you help? Could you help? Like, we need to hire a senior accountant for this guy. Will you help me? I said, okay. And I said, we're putting him in the first interview alone. He
Yeah.
doesn't know anything. No one's trained him on anything.
Yeah.
Like, we're just throwing him in. And when
Yeah.
I got involved in the search finally, the kid had interviewed 20
Wow.
so he didn't even know who he right? He didn't even know who he needed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot.
Well, that's insane. It's,
It
like,
is.
insane, and I'm just like, "Okay, what?" So there were so many things that were wrong with the situation, and I said, "Okay, we need a timeout here. Okay, we're not doing it like this. This is not gonna happen. Like, we need
Yeah.
to start from scratch." And he's like, "Will you do it for me?" Right? So I was like, "Okay." So I kinda, like, took this kid under my wing, and I was training him, and I'm trying to hire for him and doing all these things, and he just I mean, and he didn't have any intuitiveness at all. I mean,
Yeah.
he was just not, and I'm thinking to myself, I said to him, I'm like, "Okay, first off, who's gonna wanna work for this guy?" I mean, that's the first thing, right? Like, you have to even if you're just a first level manager, the people you're interviewing are looking at you thinking, "Do I wanna like, what am I gonna get
Mhm.
if I go work for you besides a paycheck? Like, what am I gonna out of you? If you can't respect my manager, I don't think I'm gonna learn something." People usually aren't excited about it. But anyway, it's just so funny just because, like, they just threw him out there. And
Yeah.
I see this happen all the
A
time.
lot.
And so people are just like, they don't know they make a bad hire or they don't know what they're doing or they waste all this time, money, and effort. That's the other thing. I mean, you take
Yeah.
25 interviews just times his hourly rate, how much the company spend on that, just that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just
That's nuts.
it just goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
But this is
Yeah.
what happens out there, Pooja, like, outside of, like, these premier companies, this is normal stuff.
It is, but you know what happens at the big companies too, right? Because I
Yeah?
feel that leadership, there's leadership development programs, but it's not the program, right? Like it's your experience, right? That
Yeah.
really gets you those soft skills, right? That we often call it power skills, right? Because you have
Mhm.
your hard, technical skills, but then It's the soft skills that maybe you don't already have it, but
Yeah.
you can gain it over time and over
You can learn
experience.
it. If you put the effort
Yeah,
into it, you can learn it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can learn it.
If
Yeah.
you're being coached, well, if you have good mentors, you have role models that that you want to behave like, right? So I feel that as human beings, we have it. We all have it. So you just have to bring it out, right?
Yeah, yeah, you gotta have it right. Okay, this is totally off topic because I'm just here thinking. So you were there for 20 years. Let's talk about multi-generational here because you must
Yeah,
have worked with an intern all the way to somebody who was, I'm not gonna say name, someone had been there for 40 years, right? That was like in their 60s or something. You have had to see how many generations? 4?
or at least, yeah, yeah,
4 generations maybe?
yeah,
And it was interesting because I see so I don't know, like, I was thinking about the Gen Zers, right? So my boys are millennials. I'm an old X, like, I'm on the cusp of the boomer. I'm not a boomer, but I'm the I'm the last X year, and
yeah,
the X's are big. It's like a 20-year time span almost for I think Gen X or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
Big
big
one.
it's like the boomers. It's like a huge big gap. But what like even on LinkedIn, it's so funny. I was talking to somebody about this today. I think it was on the last not my podcast, but this podcast I was on is that, let's talk it's about I'm gonna talk about sales, even though
Yeah,
it's because you're look,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking about sales, I wanna talk it's not HR, but I'll talk about sales real quickly, is that in LinkedIn, like my generation, let's say the older Xers, let's just say, we were very direct in business. Like when we cold called, we were like, "Hi, this is Renee Beckman. I'm from MST. The reason for my call is this." Like super boom, boom, boom,
sure,
boom.
sure.
Very, very and they knew you were calling for sales, and it was fine, like, and if no one was trying to do any pretenses, and either you had a need, you could solve a problem, or you didn't, and you kept in touch, like, it was like that. Now, sort of like, let's just say I'm gonna just kinda tag it as the younger Xers, like the 40, early 40-ishes, let's say, maybe the older I don't know, when do the millennials cut off? So maybe let's just say the young Xers, maybe the older
Excellent.
millennials, like, they call it pitch slapping now. They call it
What?
pitch slapping.
Pit
They don't
slapping.
want
Okay.
pitch instead of bitch. They don't want somebody coming in hard like that. They wanna be like, "Oh, I got this DM, and they didn't even, like, look at my profile, and they don't even know like, they didn't even ask me about myself," and I'm just like, so interesting to me because I'm thinking it's just a disguise sale.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
You're
do
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, I don't care. People could pitch me all day long. I don't care. I'm like, because if I need it, I'm like, okay, great. I answer. If I don't,
Sure,
it's okay. I always
sure.
think, I think people forget every organization you work for when you're not in sales, you have to understand that there's a person or team that's selling so you can have that job.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know, these salespeople. Okay, yeah, but you are employed
Mm,
at your organization because there's a sales team that's driving revenue that
correct.
employs you. And I just think people forget about that.
Talk
Every
about that.
organization, yeah,
Yeah.
every organization has someone selling to drive revenue. That's the way it is.
It
So why
is.
are yeah, so why are you so worked up about it? Just
Right,
if you're not interested, then don't answer 'em. You know what I mean?
right,
They just
right.
don't answer the person, like, they're just trying to build a business. It's okay. Although you do t and that's what's so funny about it, it's like coming from entrepreneurs. And I'm like, "Well, you're pitching somebody too."
Also, exactly. Yeah.
So maybe you don't like the way they're pitching or you don't feel like there's more of a warm up, but anyway, my whole point is, like, you don't even know what to do anymore because like,
Mhm.
seems like you have different rules for, like, each generation, and you're trying to adopt your communication for your audience. That's how you're
Yeah,
effective in sales, and I'm just like, "Where are the Z's coming in on this?" Because I'm
yeah.
thinking, like, I don't even know a Gen Zer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I have a
Yes.
grandchild who's 2.5 years old, and
Yes.
then I have this big gap of people I don't know except one of the kids at the checkout or something, like, at the grocery store or something like that, or someone at you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
have any interaction with the Gen Zers at all, so I have, like, no idea, like, how they think or what they're like, it's so interesting, and I don't manage anybody anymore, so I'm not
Mhm.
managing any of these people, but, the quality of your relationships is the quality of your communication, and nobody
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to get on the phone and have a conversation anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Who
And,
did you see? Because you would have had some Gen Zers coming through when you were
yeah,
there.
I mean,
That's
and
my
it's
long way that's my long
no, 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 I love it. I love it because it's really good conversation and it's so real, right? So,
yeah.
I did. I had, on my team just Yeah, like, I mean, it was all over the map, right? Like, I mean, there was some really senior professionals and that had been with IBM for a long time. There was others that were just so new. There was interns. It was just, all ages, right? And what I like to do is, and even in each generation, right, personalities are different. Maybe a Gen, Z is
Right.
more like Gen X, like in terms of like,
Yeah, maybe they're like an old Gen X soul,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. What I would always do, I want to get to know the person, right? So
Right. Right.
even inheriting, I had inherited a team and, how do you even go about, knowing what their strengths are or what kind of a person they are, right? You ask questions. You ask
Yeah.
questions. And this
Face to
comes full,
face.
and what I had a global team, so,
Right,
it was
okay, yeah.
over. Yeah, but even if it's a phone call, whatever it is, right? So,
Yeah. I
but
guess
it
that's what
just,
I meant. Face to face meaning like it
yeah,
wasn't through a written communication.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. In person somehow, right? So, Um, and I think that comes back to that whole full circle of this whole coaching thing because coaching is, about asking those powerful questions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm very curious. I'm curious. I want to know the person. I want to know their strengths for a few things. One is if I'm thinking about, projects, like who am I going to put on what project? Also, how is that team dynamic going to be then, right?
Right. You have to know what how your resources act or how they behave.
Function or
Function, that's
perform,
a better word for
right?
it, how they function, yeah.
Yeah. What their strengths are and, what are their needs, right? How can I help you? How can I coach you to now have you own your work, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because then it gives them a sense of, empowerment, but it also helps them feel safe, and
Yeah.
I think, just no matter what age or what generation you are, asking them about themselves and their needs and what would help them get to success or what is success in their mind, I think is such a powerful question. And then quickly start to realize that there's a lot of similarities between people, no matter what generation or,
Yeah, no matter what, right? We all have the same basic human needs and they have
yeah,
to be fulfilled, right? The 6 human needs, they have to be fulfilled. You know
yeah,
what's so interesting is I'm sitting here talking about we as society, all we read about is not labeling people and all we do is label people.
yeah.
Like, we label the generations, but we're not supposed to label
Which
people, and we label them, and we talk about how we shouldn't segregate, but we're always doing it. Isn't it crazy? Yeah.
it's because we're human and humans do this, you
Yeah,
know?
this is what we do. It's almost like we're trying to sector up the tribe in some way so we can understand it. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know? And there's
Yeah,
always
there's
generation gaps. There's always
well, I think
generation
it's also
gaps.
because, it helps you, like, get into a comfort zone. I don't know, it's like, you
Yeah,
feel more comfortable if you can
yeah.
relate or if you don't,
Well,
right?
I love young people. I'd rather spend my time with young people than old people, you know what I
Because 'Cause
mean?
you're learning
Because
more, no?
well, they just have energy and you learn like, they're full of life and energy and it's just I love it. I love being with younger people. But, and I should do this and maybe I will this I just there's no time for everything, but I often thought of, like, I should do an interview prep, like, I should do some
Ooh,
interview prep stuff for these kids coming out of college, like, I don't know, like a group coaching for 99 bucks or something, just like
yeah,
because they have no idea what they're doing and there's no one to tell them and just they don't have that face to face like how I grew up with everything was
yeah.
face to face. There was no
No, I
technology,
I love it because I think it's so important to
And
help
they're probably
them.
not doing it in schools. They're probably not doing it in
It
schools.
and I think some schools do, because I
They're
remember
probably
even
not
when I
that
was.
great.
And they but that's why so a lot of them, so this whole career coaching thing that I'm doing too, there's actually,
Yeah, tell
early
me
career
about it.
professionals. Yeah, there's I'm on a coaching platform, and they started to see that there's a demand for coaching around for early career professionals, like just starting out their careers or in universities on how to land jobs in big corporations in their like leadership development programs. And that's exactly what I did. I was in the
Yeah,
leadership
that's like
development
right up
program.
your alley. You have like the
Yeah.
inside secret scoop on that.
Yeah. So I'm super excited because, I've done that for so long, like coached informally for so long. And just building on experiences of
Now
my
you
own.
gotta get their parents to pay for it.
I know. I know.
Hey, you
I
know
know.
what? So I get a lot of calls from like CFO friends like, Renee, can you help my new graduate and stuff like that? I think they'd pay.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think they would.
and
I think they
yeah, but you know
definitely
what?
would.
The key is that you have to be very upfront and say, this is not going to guarantee landing you a job. I'm
Oh my
coaching
gosh,
you.
there's this guy. I can't stand these people. It makes me bananas. They're just there's this one guy kid out there. I don't even know who his name is, and he's like a career coach. He's never ever been in a position of any kind that would make him like qualified to do it, right? They've
Fine.
never been in your spot, they've never been in my spot. Like they've never had any experience, but they're a career coach because they branded themselves as such.
Oh,
This
okay.
kid has like 1,000,000 followers. On LinkedIn, 1,000,000. So he must have
Oh,
got it yeah, he must have got in, like, a couple years ago or something, and
okay.
he claims, average, person we get it and they're not recruiters, they're, like, job search coaches or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know, is
Okay.
that's the way to call it? And, like, oh, 40% increase in salaries, and he's spouting all these stats, and I'm thinking to myself, I have interviewed probably I did some, like, an estimate, like, over 12 I've probably interviewed about 12,000 people in my career.
Gosh,
That's
wow.
not
What a
that's
number.
not debriefs and that's not debriefs from interviews or preps for interviews. That doesn't include those calls, and
Yeah.
that's not any of my client calls. That's just, like, I think about how many people I probably interviewed over 25 years. If I looked at, like, weekly stats or something, right? And then I think we've done over with my teams, probably over 5,000 deals, right? And I'm thinking to myself, "You have never been on the front end of any of these conversations,
Wow.
and you're lying because I'll tell you what, I have rarely gotten people 40% increase,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Rarely.
Yeah.
30%, 20%,
Yeah.
40%, I'm just thinking, "That's your average." You're lying,
Right.
and
That's
how
right.
can you make that claim when you don't even know anything?
Is this person getting any reviews? Like, I'm so
I think
curious.
they are and stuff, it's really wild, and I'm thinking, "You're not even part of this." It's just you can't control the companies, you can't control the people's background, you can't control how they're gonna perform. There's so many variables, I'm like, "How can you?" And it's just like, I don't know if he does, like, a lot of group stuff and it's inexpensive and people get value and it's fine, and you're like, I mean, look, it sounds like I'm jealous, I'm kinda like, "Good for him." There's
Yeah.
some of these people just know how to market things correctly, but part of me is like, are you I don't know, I'm just have so much integrity, I would never make that claim. I would be
No.
like, "I don't know how much you're gonna get, but I can help once you get in that door. I can show you how to
Mhm.
get through an interview like there's no tomorrow, I can help you with these
Yeah.
things." Or they have these LinkedIn people who they sell these expensive packages to optimize your LinkedIn profile. That's not gonna get you a bad profile won't get you a job, but an optimized $4,000 to get you it's not gonna get you the I don't care unless
Right.
like, you could have a really bad you could have a bad, experience, like, you could move a
Experience.
topic what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy, and I'm thinking, "God, did people just they buy it?" And I feel like it's like a scam. It's
It's
crazy
almost
to
like,
me.
if people start to see people following somebody,
They
they do
follow?
that, and it's
It's
like, who are you even
weird.
following? Like, do you even know? It's
It's
such
we
a it's
I
such
don't
a thing.
follow anybody. When people call the when I actually I get a lot of invites a day for people, and if they don't line up with the kinda content I wanna see, they'll
Yeah,
follow me, but I won't accept their invite because I don't want my feed to get skewed. That's the other thing that happens.
of
So if I
course.
have, like,
Yeah,
all these marketing people try to connect with me or all these other people that wanna try to connect with me or people from other countries that just wanna, like, they wanna, like, sell something to me, I don't care if
of
you
course.
try to sell something to me, but I don't want you in my feed because then it'll skew it. Anyway, it all makes my brain hurt, to be honest with you, but
Yeah, there's just so much out there, and you have to be able to figure out what your filters are, right?
yeah,
And what works
it's
for
just
you.
it's just a full-time job with it, but alright, let's get back to you. So you wanna do this coaching and you wanna do more entry-level coaching, is that what you're trying? Now wait, did you get your certification?
So, okay, I'm still in the halfway through the executive coaching program. After I'm done with that, I still have to do all my coaching hours and stuff, right?
Got
So,
it, yeah.
formally, I would be, certified ACC, certified, but after I'm done with my coaching hours. But in the meantime, I have this separate thing with career coaching, which was a different platform where I just put my profile out there. So I just have to get at least one client,
Is it like
that
it's like a platform you put it out there? What is it?
it is.
Tell me.
They reached out to me. I think they found me on LinkedIn. They recruited me to just because they had seen my background and they were looking for coaches in that space, right? For early career professionals trying to get they said that, trying to get into leadership development programs at companies like IBM and then having a successful career, right?
Yeah, and the
So,
thing is people love to be able to get to a Fortune 100, you know? I mean,
yeah,
they love to I mean, I when I
it's a great foundation. It's a great
well,
foundation.
yeah, and I mean, look, I mean, they pay good, they have good benefits, I mean, it
Experience.
goes on and
Yeah.
on and on, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
get that on your
Yeah.
background and then you're more marketable and everything else, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
worked for Fortune 100 when I got out of college. I got lucky getting into it, but, I'm sure there is a strategy to get in there, though. I mean, I'm sure internships is a strategy. You mean to talk to these kids
It
when they're
is.
18.
Well, but the thing is that once you're in there, right? Like, what are you doing and how are you showing up? And I think that's important, right? To then, still have that next success, right? Because if you successfully complete your internship, then you likely have a
Yeah.
full time offer, and then
Yeah,
you're
I
in.
mean, there's some right. Well, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I hear so many people that went to Baxter and internships and some of the big pharmas, and then they just that's part of the recruiting philosophy, right? That's part of
Yeah.
what they it's part of what they
Hmm.
do. So
Yeah.
so you just started on there. So no clients just yet, but they asked you to be on the platform and okay.
I'm super excited. I actually
Oh
was
my God,
I
I
was
love it.
I was working on my vouchers because they said the more vouchers, but it's just reviews from others that are posted out there, the more likely you are to get clients. So I
The
reached
reviews are
out to, people from I was informally mentoring and coaching, for all those
oh,
years. They put
that is
some reviews out
awesome.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm excited. I'll
That's
have to keep you
awesome.
posted. Yeah.
So do you wanna are you gonna just focus on this, or are you doing this as a side hustle and then gonna look for another job or something?
I'm not actively searching for a job. I am
Mhm.
looking, to get into if I can do projects, I would love that.
Yeah,
In talent strategy, talent management. But if a full-time opportunity showed up that was really appealing in as, checking all the boxes that I want, I would definitely be open to doing that as well.
you definitely do it.
But the cool thing is, the coaching thing, whenever I'm looking at job, postings for jobs that I'm would, potentially full-time, work full-time in, the coaching bullet about coaching is always there. It's, executive coaching,
Yeah,
career coaching, and I'm like, "Okay, so it
yeah,
works well for that too."
yeah, for
And
sure.
and I like it. I wanna do it.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
tell me
kind of
about
it.
this wine passion of yours.
I was wondering if you were gonna get to that. Yes,
Besides drinking it, not that I think you drink it a
right?
lot,
No, I love drinking
but
it
tell me
too.
about that. Are you still is
Yeah,
that still sort of like on the on the
it's
agenda here?
it is, it's one of those things that, you have a dream and, I've been
Yeah.
saying this for a few years, that, "Oh, I wanna open my own winery," but I'm like, only because I love going to wineries, I love the experience, I love the joy and happiness that, people, like, are experiencing there, right?
Yeah.
And you're drinking wine, right? So I love that, and I always said, "Oh, I wanna have my own winery," but I didn't know what that means, right? I'm in I'm exploring right now. What is it, right? Like, is it the wine industry in general, right? Like, even from an HR standpoint, I'm meeting some, leaders in HR at wine companies just to understand the workforce dynamics,
Oh,
but
nice.
also meeting more local winery owners. But then wine tasting rooms, there's wine bars, there's wine boutiques, there's all of this stuff. And I'm just kind of, exploring and seeing that
So you're just
what would
educating yourself right now.
educating
Yeah.
myself
Have
because
you done the, Berrien County, Michigan? Have you done the winery tours out there?
I do the New Buffalo St. Joe's,
Yeah,
those
that's
like
it. That's
yeah,
Berrien
that's Berrien
County.
County. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You've
So
done all
much.
that.
So much. Yes. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
It's but people don't know that up there. It's really
You know,
interesting. There's a lot of fruit.
it's considered the Napa of the Midwest.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I haven't done that tour in a really long time, but, there's some really good wines out there. Tabor Hill's a
Yes.
cheaper one.
Tabor Hill. Yeah.
Tabor Hill's well, that was one back way back in the day. I'm thinking about the one with the is it red roof or red tin or
Oh, yeah, it's red top. Red top.
red top? Red
Mhm.
top. I'm just
Mhm.
thinking of all the ones we did it a couple years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fruit wines, obviously, but it's fun because I think most of them are, like, family or privately owned.
They are, and I actually got contacts of 2 owners of 2 separate wineries there that I'm gonna just, go and, like, talk to and just, just to better understand,
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that'd be a good territory for you because it's close to
Mhm.
Chicago,
An
right?
hour and 10 minutes.
I
Mhm.
had oh my god, this is down memory lane. My sister-in-law is from Bridgman. Well, she's not from Bridgman, but she grew up, well, she didn't grow up, but anyway, she grew up as a kid there. And that's Marion County. So we spent a lot of time up there, and it's kind of like people don't know, but it's like the grape area. And so
Yeah,
we knew some guys whose family owned a farm, and they raise I mean, raise grapes. You grow grapes.
they grow
They grew
grapes.
grapes for wine, and they sold them to the wineries. And
Yes,
so the sand probably from that area, right, is what is the soil
the soil is key,
is the
right?
foundation for the grapes.
It
It's
is,
crazy.
and so many
So, like,
people do
it's not
that. They
far
just
out
have
for you because you're like you said, it's a you're close to the territory out here.
I am, and, so it's one of those things that it's not like I'm like, I wanna make the wine, I'm not like, viticulture sounds fun, but it's not that I'm out there, I'm making the wine, right? But I just wanna, like, I wanna have it, like, I wanna operate it, I wanna run it, I wanna see people being happy, I wanna be happy, right? So, it's more of
That.
that.
I think that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
I think that's amazing, and, two of my sons are, like, super foodie guys. I mean, and
Mm,
they know so much about they're really good cooks. They know so much about stuff. They have a hit list for the Michelin, rated restaurants they go to and where they wanna go. And then they're fairly versed in their wine, like, more than me. I mean, but, like, they spend time learning it, and it is
learning about it.
complicated. I mean, that's why there's what do they call them? Sommelier what do they call
Sommelier,
the wine experts?
sommeliers.
Les sommelier
Yeah,
what do they call them?
it's the actual pronunciation is sommelier, but everybody says sommelier, so I'm like depends
I
on who
mean,
you're around.
this a big this a it's a I mean, first off, the history,
Huh? Yes.
I mean
Well, Renee, I have books. I have a couple friends that one is a regional sales manager for a wine company, and I have another friend that's a wine consultant. And they told me what books, I should be looking at.
well,
So
that's
you
awesome.
can't see this, but it's a blur. But it is literally it says, certified
Certified
specialist of
specialist of
wine.
wine, yeah.
Yes, it's a study guide. So I'm like, if I could even just do the W set level 1, it's not a sommelier thing, or it's just wine and spirits education or whatever.
Yeah.
So W set. I'm like, if I can just have that, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I have something in
Yeah,
wine,
I
right?
mean, I don't know, wouldn't that be cool if you could be a Somalian? I'm calling you a Somalian. Would that
Sommelier.
be cool? Wouldn't it be cool to be an S? Call it an S.
Yes. You take your,
That could be a little goal. That's not even a little goal. Those are, like,
it's a
probably
lot. It's really tough. I've met a
yeah.
couple that
People get
that
paid a lot
have.
of money to be those people.
Yes. They've
Yeah.
had, like, the first level of it, and they were like, "It was intense," and there's, like, 3 levels, so it's like, "Okay,
Well,
yeah."
I mean, I just like understanding the history and then understanding all the different variations. I know I've done a little bit reading of it myself, not like your interest, but I got a couple books one time. I was like, oh, I want to understand this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is complicated. Like, I'm not going to remember all this stuff. Maybe when I was
No.
younger, I would, but
Yeah.
now I just need an app or a wine app or something, and that'll tell me
That's
what I need
right.
to do. Right.
That's
And
right.
my husband's the big, like, liquor buyer. I don't really drink, so he'll buy the wine and stuff. Whenever I go to someone's house, like, "Okay, I need a bottle to take." He's like, "Hey, wait a minute. Oh, wait.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Don't go down and just take anything.
That's
Which
funny.
one can I
Y
take? Well, do you want a
Yeah.
20, a 30, a 50, or a 100?" I'm just like, "I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
$25? I don't know." I mean, it's so funny. But anyway, well, that's awesome. Well, I really wish you luck on that. Keep me posted on that because I think that's super fun.
You know, kind of coming back to the whole we talked a little bit about the next generation, of
The
HR
Gen Zers.
leaders. Yeah. Just coming back to HR because I have a passion for HR. I have a passion for HR, coaching, and wine, right? Those are my 3 things. Just some things, for them to think about, right? That you have to get a seat at the table, right? At the executive table.
Yeah.
HR at its best isn't about doing what's safe or easy or being, those people
Yeah.
that are laying out the policy and process and, being compliant, right? It's about
Yeah.
shaping the conditions that make performance possible, right? Like leaders who combine these capabilities become true partners at the executive table. And above all of this, like they need courage, right? The courage to challenge
Yeah.
executives to speak
Yeah.
the truth, right? And
Yeah,
make the
because
hard
it's
decisions.
intimidating. I literally love that. adjective courage. I don't think we talk about it enough.
We don't, and, because it's uncomfortable, right? You're uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in the beginning and, have that courage, right? Because then you get a seat at the table. So, I think it's very important that the next generation of HR leaders.
Yeah, I think one of the things where I see HR people lacking a little bit, and again, I hate to talk about things in general because that sounds good, but I was talking to another like young HR professional out of HRA, and like you need to understand the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
You have to understand the business, you
Yeah.
know? If you understand the business and people see that you understand the business, then they'll listen to you. And
Well,
that's the key.
because now you're trying to align, like the business needs and the business problems or whatever you're
Mhm.
trying to solution with, with
Well,
some HR
it's not
things, right?
separate. It's
It's
not
not. It's one and the same, right?
Yeah,
It's
you
one and
have to start at the
yeah,
top and you understand the company and the strategy and what they're trying to accomplish. You have to understand the business. That's why being in the sales area is great because boy, you got to start to understand the business because that's
you do.
ops, sales ops. Like
You do.
that's
Yeah.
where everything's happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like especially a tech company and in manufacturing, you have to understand the ops on the floor, which I don't think people spend enough time understanding the product and how things are done. But I mean, it's operations. Like you really need to understand it, and then you can really add value. And maybe people shy away from it because I think a lot of people go into like I'll tell you why I went into recruiting
Yeah.
was first I used to fall asleep at my desk as an accountant. I was like, I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. I was so bored.
Forward.
But understanding, to get your CPA, like understanding how you have to understand numbers, you have to understand where the sources come from the numbers so you can evaluate the numbers. It has served me so well in my life because I think differently. Like when
Yeah.
I go and I problem solve something, I always problem something from like a business angle and how things work as opposed to like at a micro level. You have to start macro and then you have to drill yourself down. And I think understanding the business part of it makes you really valuable. So I feel like, but I went into recruiting. This is why I'm saying this because I wanted to help people. Like I want
Yeah.
to get people jobs. I want to help people. And I've had people take me to dinner, send me flowers, hug me, when you've done, help them get a new job. Like it's no small thing. I was just talking about this with Neil Dishman. He was talking about how you need to be respectful when you fire and terminate somebody because it's probably one of the worst days of their lives, he was saying. And you need to treat it as such, is what he said. And which I loved because I was really big on that. When I had to fire people, I was like, they knew it was coming. It wasn't a surprise unless it was egregious or something like that. But I guess my whole point is that people go into it usually in HR because they like people. Like they
Mhm.
like people. They want to be around people. They want to help people. And you see that personality trait in like even HRA. Everyone's like super friendly, they're always helping each other. Like they're warm, they're
Mhm.
approachable. Like you see characteristics in these people that go into it, but don't shy away from the business side of it because that's what makes you
Absolutely.
powerful. That's what makes you powerful.
Absolutely. That's what gets you a seat at the table, right? Because you
That gets you
understand
to
the
sit at the
business.
table. So you need to spend time on that, not just move towards, I won't say the easy stuff, but don't just stay there because the value you're going to add is going to be when you understand the operations. And it's not as simple as it sounds because helping people in HR and or recruiting, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's not that easy. I mean, if you desensitize yourself, it becomes transactional. But what Neil and I were talking about was what I said to him was, I think sometimes when you're in a hiring position in a company or you've done a lot of hiring, you forget what kind of a change that is for someone to move from a job to another job. I mean,
Right.
I said to Neil, like, you were at Jackson, is it Jackson Lewis?
Jackson Lewis. Mhm. Yeah.
He was an intern and then got
I
hired.
know.
I
Yeah.
said, "So you've been to the same building with a lot of the same faces. You park in the same spot. You probably go to the same lunch. Imagine if that changed for you today and you went somewhere. Imagine what that does
Crazy.
to your psyche and your life. Like it's no small thing, you know?
No.
And sometimes
No.
when I'm working with hiring managers and they want to ask, there's two things. Sometimes hiring's too slow, like the
Mhm.
process is too slow. But sometimes
Yep.
if it's too fast, depending on the
Yeah.
person, they don't have time to process it. And
Exactly.
someone will have one interview and I'll get a call, "Ray, you want to hire him?" I'm like, okay, whoop, hold on, wait a minute.
Let's debrief. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's take a breath. Oh, let's just get this done. Well, because you're going on to your next task. This is a life decision.
Right.
This isn't
Right.
going shopping at Jewel here or Target. This guy go talk to his whoever. He's gonna decide if this is gonna make sense. Like, it's so funny when you think about it, like, it's an emotional decision for people, and I feel like companies get desensitized to what's really happening, you know?
'Cause
So
it's just a task. Now it's just a task, right?
and it's
So
not. It's
mhm.
not a task, and then you see it out there on the LinkedIn, you see the hate.
Yep.
Like, they hate HR, they hate recruiters, they hate
Recruiting.
third-party recruiters, they hate internal recruiters, they hate
Right.
HR people because 'cause they're the one that has to deliver the bad news, and they're not the ones making the
Mhm.
decision on all the bad news. It's crazy, and it's
Yep.
almost like the we're doing a bad job, and like, I feel like we're doing a really poor job educating the job seekers of what's really happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And part
Yeah.
of that is people shy away from that communication. I mean, I was telling I don't know if I said this to you. I think I maybe said it to you offline, but you went to that you supported me on that webinar process and you're I don't know if you caught it, but I asked people how many people debrief a candidate in between interviews, and no one did.
Lucky. Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
does. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the key to getting the deal. That's the key to getting it right. Is
I
like,
agree.
why
Yeah.
why you know it's in their head? It's crazy.
Also because now don't you get confused now you've talked to others, like, you don't you need to, like
Think
don't
about
you
isn't
just
that nuts? So let's say it from an executive level. Let's just even forget everybody. Let's say you were just recruiting for executive levels and you were doing a job of it and you move someone through the process and no one's had a debrief until you make them an offer. And you still don't have a debrief because you made an offer without anyone talking. It's the opposite of how I operate.
insane.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, how can you get two people to an interview and someone get an offer? Because I do all the work.
You do all of this. Yeah.
Told you. I have the
Yeah.
formula of 2 plus 2 equals 4.
Yes.
But there's no shortcuts to it. There's no
Yeah.
shortcuts to it, you know? And it's gotta be focused on that person. It's gotta be focused and understanding the needs of that person.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
can't give it to them, then you get them out of it. Don't keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
I was
It's
talking to
not
someone
fair. It's not
I was
fair
talking to
either.
one HR, like CHRO the other day, and we were talking about hiring, and then she's like, "Well, I focus on the retention." I said, "Retention starts at the hire.
Right.
Retention starts at the
Very
interview.
beginning.
Re
At the very beginning.
You're talking about retention downstream? Your retention
Yeah.
starts in the first conversation before you hire someone to make sure you can give them what they need. You talked
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
What do they need?
Yep. I
And
was in a
if what they need, you have to be truthful if you could actually give it to them.
give it to them.
And if you
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
now don't get me wrong, people's needs are gonna change. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's like that's where the work has to be done. And we get so caught up in the job description and ticking off this and likability factor and all that kind of stuff, or their personality. They gotta have a great personality. I don't need my software engineer to have a good personality. I don't really care. I need my
I
HR
would give
person
them
to have an approachable personality, but they
yeah.
don't have to be an extrovert either. They just have to be
Yeah.
approachable and be able
Yeah.
to. Sometimes
Mhm.
really calm HR people are very impactful.
Absolutely. I
People that
mean,
are like me, they're like, they're not necessarily the best HR person. You know what I mean? But sometimes that are very calm are really great HR people because they make people, they like bring it down for people. They
mhm.
bring down the energy level to where people can think a little bit. But anyway, it's complicated. I guess that's my whole point. And what I find interesting is that, and I think well, you heard this to me on the webinar probably, but it's just we have a process for everything else, but not. I mean, IBM obviously did, but I'm just saying the majority of companies just don't even have a process.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's broken or there's like gaps,
It's
right? Yeah.
fragmented. It's very
Fragmented.
fragmented, right? And the biggest pit is they don't train the managers to interview correct. Like they don't. There's no game plan with the
That's
interviewing.
right.
I've even heard that. I've seen it with big companies. I was at the hiring. It was actually January of last year. The Executives Club of Chicago. I went to one of their events. One of my friends is on the board. I went to one of the events. She's like, "You should come. They're talking about hiring in 2025." And I was so disappointed in like it was a panel and you could tell the panel, and this is I'm not gonna say the companies, but two really big companies in Chicago, like one huge one. And one of them said, "Oh yeah, we just implemented like a Rubik's scoring system for hiring." And I'm like, "What?
Hmm.
What do you mean you just
Yeah.
like what is
Shouldn't
going
you
on?"
have I mean, you
No,
being
I'm
such a
not
big
kidding you, like,
company?
they
Yeah.
really they didn't have a real big game plan, and you see this, it's interesting out there, like, IBM is, again, like, kind of in a different category, and some of the really big companies do it really well because they have the resources, but imagine at the normal, a couple $100 million level, $50 million level, imagine what's happening on the ground.
Yeah, and they might even be going, like, for tools without even understanding what they're trying to accomplish with this or
Yeah.
what they're trying to solve for,
Or they
right?
think like the ATS with that has AI after it's gonna solve their
Yes,
problems for it, or they're gonna get
yes,
better candidates. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't care how your ATS ranks, if you don't have the right people coming in the process, it doesn't matter what.
It doesn't make it exactly. Exactly. You know, it's again just going to amplify. It's going to amplify what's already there, right?
It
So
doesn't
it's
matter. It's not gonna
yeah.
create it's not gonna create people to come into your pipeline. It's not
Right.
gonna solve that problem for you, you
It
know?
still has to be
And
human judgment
yeah,
for that.
and these companies, I mean, it's not their fault. All they can do is post a job, and then if the right people doesn't come in, they don't have there's no other game plan. They have no other game plan. They have no other strategy. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, what I also have seen as I'm off on these tangents here is that they really dump on a lot of those talent acquisition. I mean, I've had people that I know internally, they'll have 50 recs open. It's impossible. They give them
What
impossible
yeah.
quotas. Like how
How do you humanly,
you
it's not like
can't.
it's not possible.
Yeah,
So
so I'm
I
like, don't feel bad if you have to call an external recruiter. They've set you up for failure. You can't possibly do this correctly. All you're doing is administrative work at that point.
yeah. Yeah.
You're hoping the right
Yeah.
resumes come through. You're
Yeah.
looking only at enough that satisfy everybody. And then you're
Exactly.
trying to
Yeah.
get like it's crazy. So that's the other thing. Companies like I feel like they just don't. They have unrealistic expectations of what these people are supposed to be able to do. There's no
Yeah.
time for it. So it's
Yeah, and they're like,
crazy.
"Oh, wait, AI is gonna help you." Okay, AI
Not.
is going to help. Like, you're not it's not the human. People
No,
forget that,
I mean,
right?
this is funny back I don't even wanna say these I don't even wanna say this date because it gives me anxiety, but in 2008, I had a firm. We only survived because I had a big temp contract. The only reason we survived was because I had a client that had a huge temp contract, and it kept money coming into my organization. At the end of the at January of t Jan January, like, I got through Christmas, and then I had to lay off 10 people because we had no business, you know? But what would happen back then, if you by somehow got a search by the grace of God, people were, like, combining positions. Like, you know what I mean? They were trying to reduce
Okay.
high costs, they were combining position. They're like, "Well,
Yeah.
I'm still up in the market." I'm like, "You're combining skill sets that don't exist."
That don't that
It's not like
don't
we
that
took a
don't even
golden retriever and we bred it with a cocker spaniel and got a new breed out there. Like, do you know what I mean? They're like, I'm like,
right.
I it's so weird.
Right.
We're like, just because the market is tough doesn't mean all of a sudden
You just
new
tried to have, like,
skills were
2
created.
jobs in one.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't cross pollinate. We didn't put the
No.
apple tree next to the pear tree and get an apple pear. Like, I don't understand. They'd be like, well, I'd like to have an analyst that knows SQL. It can also code. It can also, I'm just like, he's a financial analyst. Why would he know how to do any of that? It was weird. It was so weird. And the other thing too is someone who will be looking for a unicorn, and and the company will be up in like Waukegan or something.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you have to look geographically what your radius is. Back then, because you had to drive to but even now it's pretty much hybrid. Like, well, isn't there people? I'm like, you you
Where?
you're on the
Yeah,
lake on the east side. You're on the lake,
yeah,
so I only can go like a commutable. It's crazy.
yeah,
Walmart
yeah.
had a problem and stuff when they moved up to Deerfield and things like that because they couldn't pull the kids from the city.
Right,
There
right.
all those people went and made those big campuses up there, and they couldn't those kids aren't
They
you know,
couldn't
people
yeah,
kids
they
don't
didn't
they get
wanna
married later, they go to the city, they're not going to the burbs and buying a house at 22 years old, you know?
nope, nope,
And they
nope.
were having I think a lot of those guys started to put satellite offices in the city, which was smart because
Okay, yeah,
Discover Card had problems with it too, and I think they did that as well, and it was the smartest thing they could have done because they couldn't get the kids up there. They couldn't get the young graduates up there.
yeah.
Drive to
No one was looking
Deerfield
for
from the city in the morning or from like, it's not gonna happen, you know? It's interesting how it's just interesting how people think sometimes, you know? So, anyway, super fun
yeah.
as I thought it would be. Thank you so much.
Yes,
So, again,
thank you.
Pooja Bhatt in the hiring room. Thank you. Another good episode underneath our belt, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you around soon. Thanks for joining me in the hiring room. If you like the podcast, please subscribe below and share this episode with someone you think that would benefit from it. We're always looking for good people to interview. So if you have a referral, comment below, or you can email me at renee@mseedinc.com. Thanks till next time.